Hi everyone, today I wanted to show you how I created a custom blog using ChatGPT, a custom GPT to create the content, and Notion as the CMS. All of the content going through n8n, through a workflow on n8n to reach Notion. And then we have a custom Flask web app for the blog itself. I can maybe first show you the look of this blog. So this is the blog, a blog about AI, generated by AI with AI images, and all of that through the combined power of a custom GPT and Notion for the CMS. And the front end that you see was created in pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the web app is hosted, deployed on Railway. So we have a look at the whole workflow, but first let me show you the structure. So we start with a custom GPT on ChatGPT, and then we will send the data to n8n. So we have a workflow on n8n. I'm using Railway to self-host my n8n platform. And then we have Notion. So we're using Notion for the CMS. That would be the CMS. And ultimately, we have a web app, a Flask web app, Flask being a Python framework, Flask web app with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is hosted on Railway, and it's connected to this Notion CMS that we have here, and we can clear the cache when we add new content to the blog so that we display the fresh content on the blog that we have here. And here, if I click here, you see I've got my blog post. It's pretty nice. I've got all my sources that are nicely listed at the end of each blog post. I can also copy my link. I can share my blog post. I can search. It's pretty fast. As you can see, there is a JavaScript-based search engine there. I can also click on any of those tags and see if I have multiple articles for the tag, as I have here, jobs, AGI. So you see how fast this is. So this is a Flask web app connected to the blog, which is configured, managed on Notion. So this is what it looks like on Notion. I've just hidden a few of the columns of the properties, but if I look at the full list of properties here, you see that I have the title, I have my research sources, the word count, but also all the other columns for the content. So 5 different sections with a title for each section, also a meta description for SEO. So all of that came from a custom GPT on ChatGPT and was sent through n8n to this CMS, this table in Notion. And the Flask web app is connected to Notion. So let's come back to the structure. So we have the custom GPT. We'll have a look in a moment. Then we have n8n. And on n8n, to give you some details, I have 2 workflows. One which is just a webhook leading to a sub workflow. And then I would say what I would call the publication workflow, which is the second workflow. We'll have a look in a second. And those are on n8n. And the publication workflow then will just send the data to the Notion CMS. And the Flask web app will just be connected to the Notion CMS and see if there is any new content added to the Notion CMS. So it all starts on my custom GPT in ChatGPT. So if I open here ChatGPT, I have what we call a custom GPT. If you have a premium account on ChatGPT, you can create your own custom GPTs for all sorts of purposes. It's just a shortcut that facilitates your work. So instead of repeating the same prompts all over again, you just create a custom GPT if you have a very specific use case. And here the use case is to research and write a blog post. So there is a pretty long system prompt, as we call them here, that was also co-generated with Claude, so a colleague of ChatGPT. We created this system prompt together, and the purpose of the system prompt is to explain to the custom GPT what we expect from the GPT. So we expect the GPT to research a specific topic and then to write an article, and the article must be rendered as a JSON, as a structured JSON, and the JSON must have 5 sections, each of the sections with a title, with headline, and also content. We also have the list of sources, and we also have an image prompt that is inspired by the content that we will use to create an image on Stable Diffusion via n8n. And we also have, let me see, a meta description. Yes, the meta description that will be used for SEO. So the custom GPT will structure the final article so that it's sent as a JSON to n8n, and then it will be captured by n8n, ingested by n8n, processed by n8n, and the final content will be sent to this table in Notion, connected to the web app. That's the idea. It's very easy to use. Let's show you how it's working. I have a few examples of some topics here that we can process. So let me just throw a topic in this custom GPT. So it will first search the web to find information about this. And then it depends. Sometimes it gives you the result of the research. Sometimes it will just jump straight away into the creation of the content. And as you can see, this is the structure of the article. This is what n8n needs to capture and then to process, to create the image, for instance, using the prompt, but also to post all the structured content to the different columns in the database in Notion. So now I can just say go post to n8n. I think we're ready now. So what this custom GPT will do now is talk to a connector, talk to the n8n infrastructure to then ask me if I confirm my intention to post the content to n8n. And this is using what we call in a custom GPT function calling. Function calling enables you to call a function, to call an API using your custom GPT. And you have to use this structure in the function calling. It's called the Open API structure. If you're using ChatGPT or Claude, and if you know where to send your data, for instance, a webhook in n8n, you just ask ChatGPT or Claude to give you the Open API code that you can paste into your custom GPT, and it will do the job for you, so you don't have to write all those lines on your own. And once you have your function calling configured in your custom GPT, it is ready to send the data where you want to send the data. So here, as you can see, it's asking me if I want to confirm that I want to send this to my n8n instance. So we'll say yes. And it will talk to the connector. And then it says the article has been successfully sent to n8n. And if I go to n8n, I have here a very simple workflow to start with. It's just a webhook and an instruction to send the data to a sub workflow, to another workflow where all the magic of the publication and the creation of the images will take place. So if I look here, I can see here, yeah, that's right now that we have succeeded in 8 seconds. So that's the total time needed because it waited for the completion of the sub workflow before confirming the success. And then if we go to the sub workflow, we can see here that we have an execution which worked also. What is a sub workflow? So it's triggered by the first workflow that we have just seen. It will receive a JSON with all the structure that I showed you for all the components, the elements of the article. It will process, there's some JavaScript here, it will process one of the fields from the JSON to get a list of tags that we can then use in a multi-select field in Notion. That's a very specific format, so we need to process the tags coming from the JSON. And also, we will count the words in the article. My first attempt was to ask ChatGPT to count the words itself and to have a specific field with the word count, but it was hallucinating with the word count, and the best way to do this is to use code here, JavaScript, to count the words in the JSON that we receive in the first node here. Then we have the image creation. The image creation is using the stability API, the Stable Diffusion API, to create an image which is based on the image prompt generated by ChatGPT, by the custom GPT when we generate the article. So the custom prompt is sent along with all the data, and then this node, which is an HTTP node, will call the Stable Diffusion API and generate the image. The fact is that Stable Diffusion sends back the image as a base 44 piece of content, so it's not a URL. So we need to host the image, the file somewhere, and get a URL, a direct URL back from the hosting platform that we can use in Notion, because Notion, for the image field, as you can see here in Notion, we have an image field for each of those articles. Notion doesn't accept the direct upload of a file, so you need to specify a URL. And to get a URL, I used a free hosting platform called ImageBB. I used their free API. You just have to ask for an API key, and then you configure this node here. You take the file that you get from Stable Diffusion in this node, you upload it to ImageBB, you get back straight away a URL, and you will use this URL in your Notion node. The Notion node, let me show you what's inside the Notion node. We have all the different fields of the database, as you can see here. It's not a problem if it's in red, it worked. It's just that we don't have any active data at the moment referenced in the workflow. But that's the way it should be. So it's referencing the first node to grab the data, and then we have all those fields that are populated using the data coming from the webhook. And in the end, I think we have the image. That's probably the last one. We have the tags, yes, and we have the image. And as you can see, the image is a file URL, so you need a URL to upload an image to Notion. So that's why we used ImageBB. And ultimately, when all of that is completed, I just use Gmail to send myself an email with a notification and a link to the article in Notion, actually. So yeah, that's the idea. That's how it's working. And let me show you the blog post here. You see, it is in Notion. So if I open in Notion, I have all the content there, including the image there with some drones, AI-driven drones. I've got all my sources there. I've got my tags. I've got everything I need, all the section titles. So I could, if I wanted, update the content straight in Notion. So that's the reason why we call also that a content management system, because you can also add some tags or change the image or the sources or the content itself in Notion, and then bust the cache of your blog, and you will see the content in the blog. So speaking of which, let's have a look at the blog itself. If I open the blog, you see here in the blog that we have this article that we have just generated about what happens when nations weaponize AGI. And we have here the content of the article, all the sources, really neat. And as you can see, it's really, really fast. And I've also coded a pagination every 10 articles. So you can go through the pages like this with a specific detail. A little detail is that if you search, it searches through all the articles, obviously not just the articles on the page that you see. So if I search for weapon, it's on the page here. But I think I have on page 2 something like future of work. But if I come here, I will have future of work here, which will also be in the results. And if you are curious about the structure of the code of this web app, the Flask web app, let me show you. So this is a Flask web app. The important part is to know the structure of this app. So we have main.py. We have a proc file, which is the instruction on how to start the app on Railway. The requirements, those are the Python packages that we use. So it's pretty simple, as you can see. Then we have here all the files for the content. So for instance, index.html, that's the home page with the list. And here you see all the CSS and the JavaScript. There is also a base HTML, which is the base template for all the pages, a 404 template, 500 template for the errors. We have a sitemap template because we want a sitemap to index the content properly on Google. And we have the post template, which is the single page where you see here all the sharing buttons at the bottom, the footer, and here all the metadata section, everything that you saw on the blog. And the main part is that we fetch the posts from Notion using the database ID that we have, which is in the top bar in Notion, and then the Notion token that you have to generate. For that, it's like an API key. You need to go to a specific part of Notion and ask for this Notion token. It's free, and then you will write this code so that you can fetch the post, you can fetch the images. And we have a logic also of caching. So I think that the caching is pretty short here. It's 10 or 15 minutes, but we can also bust the cache if we want, if we add a new piece of content. So you have here all the code. None of those lines was handwritten by myself. So this is pure vibe coding using mainly Claude outside of VS Code. Here we are in VS Code, but also GitHub Copilot straight in VS Code. So here via the sidebar, using actually GPT 4.1 because I ran out last month of Claude Sonnet 4 credits. It's back today, and I have also another plugin that I use. An extension in VS Code called Cline, and Cline is really, really powerful. CLINE. You can install it in VS Code, and it's another agent. It's an alternative if you want to GitHub Copilot, or if you are using another IDE like Cursor. I would argue it's as fast as Cursor, and you can connect any LLM to Cline. I'm using Claude Sonnet 4 with Cline, and I'm using Open Router where I have credits to choose any frontier LLM, any LLM that I want to use, like Gemini 2.5 Pro or Claude Sonnet 4 or DeepSeek from Open Router connected to Klein. And Klein, you see, it's this little icon there in the sidebar. So everything that you see here in this app was written with those AI agents. If you want to have a rough idea of how much time it took me to create this, so I started yesterday in the early afternoon, I think. I had this idea that I wanted to connect a custom GPT to n8n and then to a CMS to publish content in a custom blog. I had started with another option using a static site generator, Hugo. You could also use Gatsby, or you could use anything you want, basically. But then actually I found out that it was easier for me and more convenient also if I wanted to, interact with the content, to use Notion. And I created the workflow in such a way that here I can feed the content coming from a custom GPT to my webhook, but I could also create another workflow to feed this publication workflow. So instead of the webhook before this workflow, there could be another workflow, maybe with an agent inside of n8n, and this could feed the same workflow and the same database on Notion. And if I want to create another blog, I just create another database in Notion. So instead of having this database, I create another database. So I get another database ID, and I can use my token, my Notion token, to connect to this other database, and the other database can be connected basically to the same kind of front end, but instead of using this database, I'm using another database in the environment variables. That's what we call the variables to connect to a specific database. So I could definitely have, with the same framework, multiple blocks fed by multiple workflows on n8n. And you could ask me, but why are you using a custom GPT instead of creating an API workflow behind the scenes to create your content? So I found very interesting to use a custom GPT because it gives me control on the research phase, so I can see what the custom GPT is doing. It's also leveraging the full power of ChatGPT. And it's a little detailed, but it doesn't cost you any extra tokens for all the generation of the research and the blog post itself in this custom GPT. And it's pretty fast. I would say the longest part is to call the endpoint on n8n. You can maybe wait for 25-30 seconds, but you can do something else while it's connecting to the tool. And yeah, it's pretty easy to use. So we could say, AI in depth, will we more on machines? So let's go here and we start a new chat with this custom GPT. And it is trained to understand that once you give it a topic, it will start researching the web, as you can see here, with all the sources. And then you can just say to go to the next step. Sometimes it will just give you the article, but you just say go or do it or whatever, or next. Here probably it will create the content, the article. So it created the content behind the scenes, so it didn't show you the content, but that's fine. It's based on the research. So as you can see now, it's maybe the longest part. It's talking to the connector, so it's connecting to the infrastructure of n8n. And once it's done, it will ask me for my permission to connect to n8n. We will wait together and we'll speak while it's doing it. And so when it will be connected, it will again go here and send the data to this workflow, and then it will send the data to the second part of the workflow. So let's come back here. Okay, it's confirmed. So I can say, yes, let's do it. So now it did it here. It's running for 4 seconds, 6 seconds. It would take between, I don't know, 8 to 15 seconds. So in 8.6 seconds. So it did all the work. And probably here, as you can see, in Notion, we have now the article, the full article, because if I click here, I've got all the data. And if I go to my blog, I might have to bust the cache, but let's see what happens. No, it's okay. It was busted. So AI and Dev will win more on machines. And you can read the article here, and you can get all the links if you want to read more here from the sources. And this image that you see here and here was created in n8n automatically by calling here the API of Stable Diffusion using the prompt, the image prompt created by my custom GPT. So I hope that you learned something today. If you are curious, or if you want to create something like that for you, you can always send me a message in the comments of the video, and I will follow up. I could share also the code with you. So it's a custom GPT on ChatGPT connected to n8n, sending the data to n8n, and then we have here the Notion CMS connected to a Flask web app, which gives you a beautiful experience, fully custom, with the easiness of using a custom GPT to generate the content. Thank you very much for your attention. Don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel if you like videos like this one. If you have any other question about AI-assisted coding, don't hesitate also to subscribe to my newsletter, aicodingclub.com, and we run co-creation workshops around the concept of AI-assisted coding. You can visit justdoers.com, which is our website where we detail all the workshops that we offer around AI-assisted coding. Have fun coding with AI, and share your project with me in the comments. I have a look.